I almost lost my whole grow to bugs. Come on, in this video, I'm going to show you how to avoid the same nightmare and what to do if you already got bugs. But before we do, today's video is brought to you by Real Growers Recharge. If you want stronger, healthier plants, if you want bigger roots for better fruits, you gotta check out Real Growers Recharge. It's like an instant compost tea that holds more nutrients at your root zone, breaks those nutrients down, and makes them more plant available, getting more of your nutrients into your plants. Find out more about Recharge over at realgrowers.com. And while you're there, use coupon code Scotty420 to get 20% off your first order. Now let's get back to the show. Come on, I see. You know what the key word to that sentence was?
That almost?
Almost, baby. What'd you see when you walked in here this morning?
A bunch of good cannabis.
Yeah, a bunch of big bags, yo.
Okay, so let's talk about it. First, tell us a story. What happened?
I'm happy, man. It's my happy face. I beat russet mites, okay? When you have russet mites and root aphids are the ones where when you tell your friends you have them, they don't ever want to go in your grow anymore. And they tell you the advice is kill everything. Just kill everything and start over. I was really invested in these. To be honest, I need some freshies. I'm very ready for some freshies. Was super excited for these new flavors. And I wasn't willing to kill everything. So I went and dug deep into my knowledge and did things correctly and won, man.
Okay, so let's talk about the problem with bugs in the first place. Like, am I not wanting to smoke the bugs? What's the problem with bugs to begin with?
First off, I mean, you won't die if you smoke them. I'm living proof of that. No, you don't want them. What's happened is, first off, they ruin the quality of your bud. But they have these mouth parts, these sucking or biting mouth parts. They'll stick their... what is it? Ovipositor or some freaking fancy word, and they'll suck the life out of your plant, man. So they'll just suck the juice out of it. That's what they eat. And when you give them free rein, they will multiply. They really do. It depends on the temperature. At 65 degrees, they multiply every 20 days. And at 75 degrees, it's every 12. And at 85 degrees, it's every 4. That's why whenever I talk to you about quality, having a quality harvest, I always bring up environment first. So these bugs will feed on your plant. They feed on the sugars that your plant makes. So they will literally suck the life. They'll suck the sugar out of your plant. The main problem is the plant needs every bit of, basically it's sugar that they're making and pumping up or making it in the leaf. And they use that for photosynthesis. They use that to build big buds. So if the bugs are coming and sucking all the sap out of that, then you're going to get a super weak plant, and you will see it. With the russet mites, they're so tiny, they're microscopic, so you can't really see them. It's not like you see this evidence of bugs crawling all around. You really have to scope it carefully. What I saw was my plants looking weird. And for me, I've been growing long enough to say that's not a nutrient deficiency, that's bugs.
Okay, so let's talk about that. How do you find out if you have bugs? Because they're so small, it's almost impossible, it seems like.
Yeah, it's part of growing. You got to hang out and you scout. That's what we talk about. I have that mechanic stool that I bought. It's a good Christmas present. You hang out in your grow. You have the jeweler's loops that are $10. You can get them really easy. And you don't need any fancy equipment, but you hang out and you look. And you say, hey, look, I'm going to go into the middle of my canopy and I'm going to grab a leaf. I'm going to grab a leaf from the top. I'm going to grab a leaf from the bottom. And I'm going to grab some from that area. And you take a look. And you look on the top and you look on the bottom. And you'll see bite marks, man. You'll see where they actually suck the juice out. You'll actually see it.
And sometimes bugs might not even be on the leaves. Aren't there bugs that also kind of get into the soil?
Man, yeah, root aphids. Now, root aphids, I don't know. I might just decide to throw everything out if I have root aphids, because that is just sucking just the factory. It's just sucking that the plant can't transport those nutrients or even that water up to the leaf. It's got problems. So you're attacking that at the beginning of the transport system. So there are some bugs that it is a situational thing. Hey, do I have enough, to last me 3 months? Can I throw everything out and still be fine, have all my medicine? Or, hey, do I want to fight these? This is really important.
Okay, before fighting them, I want to avoid the fight altogether. So what are some things that I can do to help make sure I don't have bugs in my grow in the first place?
Yes, is get a proper mindset, okay? You are one day or another going to have bugs in your grow. So don't think about it as I never want to get them. Think of it as management. I'm going to be bringing things in. I'm going to be bringing soils in. I need to manage this. So I need to manage. It's IPM, Integrated Pest Management. If you just wait until you see bugs and then you try to fight them, it's not really as good as managing them. And it starts with your environment. Manage not to give them a great environment to grow in.
Temp and humidity.
Yeah, so I'm always saying environment is huge. You know, that's why I always put it number one. If you have a proper or improper temps, too hot, too low of humidity, spider mites love low humidity. So when you keep it in that range, those VPD ranges, the plant is growing so strong. It's also nature attacks the weak. When you've got this incredibly strong growing plant, it's not so easy for the bugs to attack, especially if the environment ain't right. And next, we call it cultural practices. It means no cross-contamination. It means don't go into the shed when it's time to cut your plants down and get the lopper that you use to, do the work around your yard and bring it in there. I mean, that can spread pathogens, whether it's molds or mildews. Scissor. I have separate growing scissor that stay in the grow, and then I have separate trimming scissors that stay out here. So just things like that. And then this is a tough one to do, but try to do it, okay? And it is quarantine new material. You can get a small tent. We were talking about how you can get a 2 foot by 2 foot by 4 foot tent. That's all you need with a little 100-watt light in there. It'll cost you a few $100. It is a commitment, but you know how much money I spent trying to eradicate, or I shouldn't say even eradicating, controlling the pest population in there. It was hundreds of dollars. So it'd be cheaper for me to buy once, cry once, get myself a little quarantine tent. I'm in my back studio right now. Maybe I would keep it, in an extra bedroom or something like completely away. And what I'm talking about is if your buddy gives you a clone. We were talking a couple of videos back about getting a clone from somebody that saves you so much time. Well, when you get that clone, you take it and you put it in another grow area, total separate space. Don't go and trim that clone and then go right back into your grow room. Use good cultural practices. Wash your hands, maybe change your clothes. Give it a few weeks. Scout that thing. Once you know it's clean, then put it in your grow and you've got yourself your new strain. But quarantining, it sounds like one of those things you say and never do, but from a guy that just spent hundreds of dollars to recover from bugs, buy your setup, do it right, and you'll have it for years.
Okay, say I didn't follow your advice. I ended up with some bugs in my grow. I don't want to throw my whole harvest out. What are some things that I can do at this point?
Hey, just so you know, I don't follow my own advice sometimes, all right?
Okay.
Well, hence is why I got bugs. So what you do is, remember you hang out in the grow. The best thing a grower can see is his shadow. Did I do that right? Anyway, man, being in the grow, I talk about automation a lot, but you do have to be in there doing the work, or at least what I'll do is I'll scout. And when I say scouting, I mean looking at the bottom of the leaf like we talked about before. But one of the tools that I use is the sticky traps. They've got yellow ones and blue ones, and if you go like on Amazon, you can buy like 100 of them for like $8. It's very inexpensive. I will put those all over the place. Each one of my plants gets an individual sticky trap, and then I'll go and I'll take a look and I'll see what's on here. For the most part, it's usually fungus gnats. Fungus gnats are pretty benign. The only thing with them is it does tell you that you're keeping the top of your plant too wet. So it's a clue with that. And they can bring other diseases in, but they're probably the least damaging. So I'll look on the card and I'll say, all right, there's some fungus gnats, but whoa, what's that? Hey, let me check that out. And of course, you go get your magnifying glass and you go to Google and you say, oh, it's got long legs and it's got 6 of them and it's got 3 segments in its body, not 2. And you can identify it. It's not that hard. It's probably only 10 or 12 pests that like cannabis.
All right, so I'm in that position.
Sure.
I find one of those bugs. What do I do now?
You got to treat them. You got to get rid of them, right? Or you got to manage them, might be a better way to say it. And by the way, there's these pesticides that are out there. They're very easy to find. We'll talk about Eagle 20 and Avid and Floramite and all these things. These are real bad toxic chemicals. These are chemicals that they'll use when they're, doing flowers for, the store or landscape material.
Not something I'm going to put in my body.
Not consumable. And I've done the research on these. They do last a long time. They persist in the plant they have half-lives where they break down in half, but half of some nasty poison is still a lot of poison, man. So resist those and use the tools that you have. It's not as easy as a one-and-done magic spray, but there are tools out there. The biggest thing you got to do with bugs is break their life cycle. The things that work on adult bugs don't kill the eggs. So as the eggs hatch, they turn into nymphs. That's what they call them, man. They make the words up. Young bugs. And
you could wipe out all the adults, and then the eggs hatch, and you've got bugs again.
But if you wipe out the nymphs, the new bugs, before they are able to lay eggs, then you've broken the life cycle, right? So it's important. So just because if you have the tools you have, I'll give you one that a lot of people use is oils. They've got neem oil. They've got all these different oils. The idea behind them is it suffocates them. These things, they've got little pipes, or I think they call them tailpipes, but it's how they breathe. They breathe through these tubes. And if you clog up the tubes, they can't breathe and they die. So something as simple as smothering them with an oil works really well.
And when would I want to be using? When is it okay to use it, and when is it too late?
Veg. You want to use these things in early veg. By the time you are sending them to flower, you want that oil to be gone. You want new foliage that didn't have a chance to get eaten because all the bugs are gone. You don't want to be spraying anything or any of these oils, particularly in flower, because it is, just think about what's happening. You are smoking, you're inhaling that material. Hey, another option, and this is the one that I elected for. I did something called a knockdown with, I used sulfur to knock them down. It's another tool in the toolbook.
Also in veg?
Yes, all this is in veg. I don't spray anything in flower. And by the way, sulfur is a really cool tool. That's how I knock down the russet mite population. But it gets a bad rap because if you don't have instructions with it, you'll just ruin your plants. And what happens is if you use an oil, like we talked about before, and then you use sulfur, if you combine them, you'll ruin your plants, man. So that's why
one or the other,
or wait. Sulfur is a really good knockdown. That's what I used first. And then I brought my plants out and put beneficial predators on there. And those are super cool.
So there's bugs that eat plants, and then there's bugs that eat bugs.
Meat eaters, yes. There's meat eaters and vegetarians, right? So we want these meat-eating bugs that are come over. They're called predator bugs, and they feed on the other bugs, feed on the russet mites.
But they don't eat the plant.
No. Not at all. And you have to select these bugs right. They are pretty specific. It has to do with the temperature that they like, that they thrive in, and specifically the humidity that they thrive in. And then also the kind of bug they eat. Yeah, they don't all eat the same bug.
Okay, so the specific bugs that you were fighting, what did you find to fight them?
They're mites. What I had was russet mites, so I was able to use a mite predator. Two-spotted spider mites are one of the most common pests that people get. So there's been, I don't know how to say these fancy, prasimilids, something like that. Those were the ones that you used for classic spider mites, and you just sprinkle them on. Usually they'll come on like a little bit of vermiculite, a little bit, it's like a surface for them to crawl on, a carrier. And then you just sprinkle it around, and these things start their population if it's the ideal temperature and humidity for them. If not, you just threw out your money.
And you mentioned you actually went through a couple $100. You went through two different types of bugs, didn't you?
Yeah, I've never had russets before, so if I had two-spot spider mite, I would have got the persimmilids. I was looking for something, they call them a little bit more generalist or general feeder. It feeds on a few different bugs. So what I ended up with was something called Californicus. And Californicus, they're they've got faster moving bugs, slower moving bugs, bugs that do well in 70 to 50% humidity, bugs that do well in 50 to 30% humidity. Now, I was flowering and I was lowering my VPD down to the 40s. So at first I tried one type of bug called the Swarovski, and they didn't love it because it was too low of humidity for them. I moved to something called Californicus, and they loved it, and I finished my harvest. Hey, one more thing is that most of these bugs will come on a carrier of vermiculite. You sprinkle it on the leaves. That makes a mess. It certainly made a mess for me in flower. If you look hard enough, if you ask all these companies, I used Arbico Organics. They're all super friendly. They'll answer the phone. I got these things called sachets. They were little packets, and you hang these packets on your branches, and then the bugs slowly wake up and crawl out, and there's nothing to clean up on your buds afterwards. So just a little tip.
So that brings up my last question.
Yeah.
You said you use these during flower. Is
Yes.
this the only thing that you can actually do during flower?
I think so. This is the only thing I'm comfortable with, and I've asked about if they get caught in the trichomes, and what I've been told is they step over them, that they're careful and they step over them. I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, this is about the only thing that I would try, other than making sure my environment's perfect. The life cycle of the bugs gets a lot faster. They reproduce a lot faster when it's hotter. So controlling my temperatures, controlling my humidity, that's a good place to start. But then, man, these predators really wiped it out. I used 2 batches of them. It's about $200 to $300 by the time shipping was done, but I got a few bags of weed, yo. Hey, but those are some of my best tips for keeping the bugs off your nugs. But what about you? I know y'all got some IPM tips out there. Drop them in the comments. If you dug this video, hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Share this one with another grower you know. And check out the other couple of videos YouTube's recommending. We think you'll dig them.